the car.
It was this fatal moment 355 days ago that has now led a Franklin County grand jury to charge Officer Connor Grubb in the shooting death of Takaya Young.
It was that day when Blendon Township officers received a report of a woman, Takaya, caught on camera stealing alcohol from the Sunbury Road Kroger. Police, who were already in the store's parking lot, confronted Young in her car. She was parked in a handicapped space. There were no license plates on the car, and there was a tote bag filled with liquor bottles on the front seat. This body cam video shows officers telling her to get out of her car twice and trying to open her driver's side door. She refused all police commands as her car moved forward. That police department says that the body cam video shows Officer Grubb getting hit by her car. He then shot a single shot through her front windshield, striking Young. She was rushed to St. Anne's Hospital, where she and her unborn daughter died.
Here we go again, just in time for election season. This video is brought to you by TatumStore.com, TatumStore.com. Make sure you get the merch link in the description section. I don't have no merch on right now, but y'all know how to get the merch. Go get you some of the new stuff. We got some, the Kamala shirt is the funny. I'm not with her. That's hilarious.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
Anyway, go to the store, get you some merch after you watch the video. Like, subscribe to the channel. Most importantly, hit the like button. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go again. It seems like before election seasons or during an election season, they ramp up all these controversial situations that should never been as controversial in the first place. And it always seems to be when a white officer shoots a black person, they make it so controversial and outlandish and they start prosecuting. They got trials going on all during an election year. In 2020, it was insane. My channel blew up in 2020 because of all this mess. And they're ramping it up today. Let me tell you about this story right here. This story out of Ohio. Ladies and gentlemen, this happened like 355 days ago. This is almost a year ago that this happened. Almost a year. August the 25th of last year. And all of a sudden, 355 days later, they bring charges and indict this police officer. 355 days later. The incident took, 30 seconds. We know it's bullcrap. Now, you know what they always do? They always put the mom up here like she's a loving parent and all these other things like that. And I'm not saying that she's not, but she is a criminal. She commit crimes. She would never have lost her life if she went at the store stealing. Now, does that mean that you deserve to die? No. But what happens is behavioral things lead to other things that lead to other things that end up leading to you dying. The parents that are out there, black folks, when are we going to get it? Stop thugging. And then if you find yourself thugging, when you get to the police, just obey the orders. And 99.9% of the time, you'll never die. And if I find somebody obeying orders and they get killed by a police officer, I will raise money and send your family money. But that's never the case, ever. Even when cops are unjustified or not justified in use of force, y'all still cutting up. Let's get to this article real quick, because I want to show you guys how disingenuous the media is. This is Associated Press. I'm going to show you how disingenuous the media is, because I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to show you what the body-worn camera actually looks like, so you can see what actually happens or what actually happened. So this said, Columbus, Ohio police officer was indicted Tuesday on murder and other charges in the shooting death of Takaya Young, a 21-year-old pregnant black mother who was killed after being accused of shoplifting last August. It's another thing. She was pregnant, and they charged that officer with the death of her and that baby. But she could have go to Planned Parenthood 30 minutes later and been totally fine. I don't get it. It's your body, your choice, but all right, don't worry about it. It says Young was suspected of stealing bottles of alcohol from a Blendon Township police officer, Connor Grubb, and his fellow officer approached her car. I'm going to show you all this body-worn camera footage. It said the other officers ordered her out. Instead, listen, this is the key part. It says, instead, she rolled forward towards Grubb. She just rolled forward. They're giving a presentation that she's just in the car, and the car just rolled a little bit. I'm going to show you what happened. Then it goes down to say right here, the Franklin County grand jury indicted Grubb on charges of murder, involuntary manslaughter, and felonious assault in the death of Young and her baby. which is my whole argument with the pro-choice stuff. He's scheduled to be arraigned in court on Wednesday. All right. Let's go down here a little bit to another part of this footage. The family is hurt. I get it. Let's see. Family members call for the officer to be charged shortly after the August 24th shooting. After viewing body-worn camera footage showing the officer fired his gun, the family called for actions of gross misuse of power and authority. The video, the officer's driver's side of the window tells Young that she's been accused of shoplifting, orders her out of the car. Young protests. She protests? This is how they frame this stuff. She protests. No, she said, I'm not getting out the car. I'm not getting out the car. Explain her quotes. I'm not getting out the car. She protests as if she's negotiating with him. This is how they frame it. Both officers, now they want to use their words. Both officers cursed at her, yell at her to get out. Young could be heard saying, "Are you going to shoot me?" First and foremost, they didn't have a gun out. The first officer didn't have a gun out when they asked her repeatedly. They knocked on a window. Get out the car. Get out the car. She rolled the window down. Get out the car. They said you were in there stealing. Get out the car now. It wasn't until she started kind of gearing up that the officer had his gun out in the front of the car. It says seconds later, she turned the steering wheel to the right. The car rolled slowly forward. They chose to use these words, slowly forward. And then he fired a shot. Now let's look at the video, because these people be lying and getting outrage started, and people don't know how to do their own research, and then they get all crazy. I'm gonna play. Let's roll the actual body-worn camera footage. All right, let's do the body-worn camera footage so you guys can see. And you tell me if this article is accurate. I think not. So it looked like the officer, if you don't understand what these tools are, we have these door pop tool kits. So when somebody locked their keys in the car, we can wedge this stuff in between and we can pop the door enough to disengage the lock. So it seems like they are here for a whole nother call. They're dealing with a person where they're trying to help them get into their car because they locked the keys in the car. I don't know if it's a dog or something in the car or not, but that's what they're there for. This is the suspect right over here. They're not here for her. They hear on the radio that this is occurring and they try to stop her.
Attention 29, 3705 Managua, 3705. A female is hallucinating. Too much of a loss for attend.
Out of the car. Out of the car.
See, and they're not necessarily getting a call on the radio. It's that the store person is pointing her out and saying that she's stealing.
The car.
He's saying, get out of the car, get out of the car. He's being very kind to her, really. He's just requesting her to get out the car. And we can see it start from right here. And you tell me where this guy's, in the article, they cussed at her and did all this. There's a whole bunch of that came up before that. Knock on the door.
Out of the car. Out of the car.
Out of the car.
Out of the car.
7 back in service, 1828.
Now, here's where it's slightly problematic. I don't believe that it should be problematic, right? He's on the side telling her, get out the car, get out the car, get out the car. This officer gets in front of the car to tell her don't move forward. A rational person would not drive over a police officer, right? I mean, the cop is in the front. This cop is on the side. You know you in there stealing. A rational person will say, okay, the cop is standing there. I'm not going to try to run this guy over and get in more trouble than I'm already in. Let me just comply.
Get out of the car. Then get out. No. Then get.
So she turns the steering wheel. He asked her to get out of the car at least 10 times. She's starting to turn the steering wheel right now. She's turning it to the right.
Out.
Get out of the fucking car.
Get out of the car.
Get out of the fucking car.
And she began, the car didn't just roll forward. She started driving over him. That's what was happening. She started driving over him. The car didn't just move forward. She hit the accelerator.
Get out of the fucking car.
Get out of the car.
Get out of the car. He got the gun out. Get out of the car. She started already pulling off in the car. Why can't an officer use this as leverage to tell a person to stop? Why does people get to run over cops because they feel like it? Just play the clip. Watch the acceleration.
Get out of the fucking car.
Get out of the car.
She was running him over before he...
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Stop the goddamn car. Stop the goddamn car.
We're going to have a 34 on to do that.
All right, here's from the other angle.
10 to 29.
Now, I want y'all to recognize something. My head is in the way. This car don't have plates on it. There's no plates on the car. So for everybody that's trying to say, oh, she didn't know or it was a misunderstanding, this woman took the plates off of her car, parked in this spot right here, which appears to be maybe a handicap spot. She takes the plates off her car. She goes with the intent to steal. She's stealing alcohol. She gets in the car. Cops walk up on her. She know what she's doing. She know what she planned to do. She know what's going on. This is not a shocker that cops are coming up to you when you literally took the plate off. See? No plate on the car. So nobody can get her license plate as she pulls away from stealing out of the store.
3705 Managua, 3705.
She's snitching over here. This woman's snitching.
What's that?
Female is hallucinating. Muchville asked for attendance.
Hey, stop. Hey, out of the car. 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 They said your stole stuff, do not leave. Get out of the car. Then get out. No.
No, I'm not getting out. She completely defied a lawful instruction. She knows she's stealing. The girl snitching on her says she's stealing. You can clearly see she got stuff in a bag in her front in her lap. No plates on the car. No, I'm not getting out. Like, how many more things do you need to do to get into a negative confrontation with police? And then watch her.
Get out. Get out of the car.
She's running him over. Thank God he's like sliding off the side of the car. Look at this. Look, tires are burning. He's right there. Look at it. Let's go back to the article real quick, because I want you guys to see something that's associated with the law that I think is very, important to talk about. All right, you go down here. It says the encounter between Young and the police officers was amongst a troubling series of fatal shootings with adults and children from Ohio police officers. It says the State Bureau of Investigations completed the investigation into the shooting last December before a special prosecutor. And we know how that go. The special prosecutor is to get in there and create something that didn't exist. It happened with Travis McMichael. They should not be in prison right now for Ahmaud Arbery. But they had a special counsel a year later come and conjure up something during an election year. This is what they do. The Bureau of Investigations, just like in Ahmaud Arbery's case, and just like in this case, they investigated and concluded that there was no wrongdoing. Special counsel come and appoint and oversee the case. The prosecutor then presented evidence to the grand jury over 2 days. Grand jury didn't consider guilt, but instead looked at whether or not there was enough evidence to proceed to the trial. Let's keep going. We know the township chief made his statements. Oh, it's up a little bit. I'm sorry, y'all. They go through the law, and I think it's important to note this. I think it's like right here. It says Sean Walton, the family attorney, said that the law is clear when an officer can use deadly force. This is his quote. In no scenario does someone shoplifting contribute to their murder by a police officer. This is such a big issue to me. Now, lawyers got to be lawyers because they got to get their clients the most money they can get and try to get this person locked up. She didn't die because she shoplifted. She didn't die. She didn't end up dying because or get force used against her because she shoplifted. The shoplifting was over. We don't even know. They didn't have a chance to finish investigating. They had reasonable suspicion that she was shoplifting. The lady is coming out saying she stole. They had reasonable suspicion to detain her. And they said, stop, get out the car 10 times. She didn't get killed or didn't get shot because of shoplifting. She got shot because she tried to run a police officer over after she was detained lawfully. Sonia Massey didn't get shot because she was mentally ill. She got shot when she threw the boiling hot water at the police officers. This is where people conflate the two. And her death has nothing to do with the use of force, whether it's legitimate or not. Whether you succumb to your injuries after a justified use of force is two separate issues. If the officer is justified in using force against you, whatever happens after that subsequently in good faith, if the officer is rendering aid or trying to save your life or whatever happens after that is inconsequential compared to whether or not the force was was justified. Let's go down here because this is what the law says, and this is why I think this is a justifiable use of force. It says some departments around the country prohibit a police officer from firing at a moving vehicle, and law enforcement groups such as the Police Executive Research Forum says shooting in these circumstances create an unacceptable risk to bystanders from stray bullets or the driver losing control of the vehicle. Now, let me tell you where they're wrong at to a certain degree. Firing into a car that's 20 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet, 60 feet away from you is very different than a person right in front of you that you firing a shot at them right in front of you. That's not a risk of bystanders getting stray bullets because you're firing within feet of this person that's standing in front of you. There can be a risk of a person losing control and crashing the vehicle. But at the same time, you don't have to get run over and killed by somebody shoplifting because they don't want to go to jail today. So you can utilize deadly force to eliminate them as a threat. It says the Blendon, maybe I said Blanton a minute ago. The Blendon Township Police Department use of force policy says officers should try to move away from an approaching vehicle instead of firing a weapon. Move away from an approaching vehicle. This vehicle was parked. She decided to proceed forward. Now, they could make an argument that the officer could have given a better effort to get out of the way of the vehicle. But at the same time, this is a split-second decision, and this happened pretty rapidly. An officer should be able to do like this and say stop and stand in front of the vehicle. And officers should try to move out the way if they can reasonably do so. But if you cannot reasonably move out the way, you're going to have to use force against somebody in order to not get killed. And so they're going to have an argument in court that he should have moved. But I think there's also a counter argument that he didn't have time to move and that it was unreasonable that she would try to drive over him after he had been standing in front of the car. This wasn't a situation where she's fleeing through the parking lot and he jumps in front of the car and then shoots her. It's a situation where they're all parked and she's parked. She should not move forward. You know, tactics on our police department dictate that you would never stand in front of a car like that. Because if she do drive off, what do you know? You under the car. Even if you shoot her and she run you over and kill you, it's pointless for you to put yourself in that situation. But I think in this situation, it's reasonable that a cop should be able to defend himself. It says an officer should only shoot when he or she reasonably believes that there is no other reasonable means available, as a threat of the vehicle. Now, let me add this other part in here. You know, if he hadn't shot her, what would she have been charged with in her actions against that officer? Put this in your mind. If he hadn't shot her, what would she have been charged with? Felony aggravated assault against a police officer. That's what she would have been charged with. But all of a sudden, because he shoots her, she's no longer responsible for the criminal behavior that she's getting into. You got shoplifting, failure to obey commands, fleeing from police, and aggravated assault on a police officer because she tried to run over a police officer that she saw in front of her and made a furtive effort to drive over him. That's aggravated assault on a police officer, which is a felony crime. But since she's black and he's white and she's dead, it's now every crime that she committed is absolved. She's not responsible for anything that she did. If he shot and missed her, she would have got charged with aggravated assault on a police officer. So why is it that this guy is now getting charged with tons of felony crimes? That's what they doing, man. It's 2024. It's an election year, and they are trying to do the best that they can to create and conjure up racial issues to turn this thing into another 2020. This is what they're trying to do, man. Why did they go, the girl Sonya Massey. That situation happened a long time ago. They're just now starting to conjure that up. This thing happened a year ago. They just now, special counsel's overseeing this. Travis and Gregory McMichael, I think it's Gregory McMichael, the Daddy McMichael. This guy, they were completely absolved. The Bureau of Investigations came in and they were justified. Then a special counsel come in with this racist, biased behavior, and they start indicting. And I think they only did this because of Sonya Massey's situation. So they got to get another one and another one and another one. And I'll say this before I get off this topic. People are just getting bewildered and betrayed by the media. They are not telling you the full story in Sonya Massey. People are not watching the full body-worn camera. And people are going to be shocked when they get to the trial and they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he did not have a self-defense claim. And when you got somebody throwing a pot of boiling water at you, you have a self-defense claim. And people can say, well, he should have never been in that situation. Well, if for the fifth, we all be drunk. There is lawful reasons why he was in that situation. And I don't like the situation. I don't agree with the police officer on the way he used, things he said and everything like that. But at the same time, it's a reasonable fear of serious bodily injury or death if somebody throws boiling hot water over top of you. Like, what are we saying here? Somebody runs you over and you get underneath the car because they decide they don't want to go to jail today. It's reasonable for you to try to eliminate that person as a threat. And for all the people out there, my body, my choice. I can have an abortion up to term. But then when a cop shoots you and you lose your baby, that's a murder. I don't get it, man. I'll see y'all on the next one. I'm out.